Hello children, welcome back to the video lecture of Standard 9th. In the previous 4 video lectures of chapter number 9, we have already studied about various aspects of the Constitution. We also saw about the fundamental rights. We also saw what were the fundamental duties, and we also saw the base about directive principles of state policy. Today we are going to see about the topic directive principles of state policy into detail. So without wasting time, let us start. Directive principles of state policy have been incorporated in chapter number 4. See, it is taken from chapter number 4 of the Constitution. Now this particular topic or this particular idea is taken from the Constitution of Ireland. Okay, you already know that India is amalgamation. Indian Constitution is a mixture, amalgamation of various constitutions. So this particular idea of directive principles of state policy have been taken from the Constitution of Ireland. The objective of directive principle of state policy is to guide the present and the future. See, what is the main objective? Is to guide the present and the future, to tell the government, to tell the state how to work. Okay, the main objective is to tell how to work, or what can be the ideal state for the government to work, center and the state government. See, in policy making in various policies related to the field, these principles are directive. See, this is a very important line. These principles are directive. Directive means it gives you direction, it doesn't force you. Okay, if you follow that direction, the results will be good and it will be better. The state is not bound to fulfill them. See, this is very important line, remember this. The state is not bound to fulfill them. The state is not or cannot be forced to fulfill them, but it is the moral responsibility of the state to keep this principle in the center for framing any policy. See, but it is a responsibility, it is a moral responsibility of the state to keep these principles into the center, to keep these principles into the mind when they are framing any kind of policy related to the state. The main objective of this principle is to set that any political, social and economic justice should be available to all. Such a social structure should be established. Okay, the main objective, this can be the main objective. The main objective of this principle is to see any political and social economic justice. Okay, means any kind of policy that is related to politics, social and economic justice, or any kind of ideas that are related to it should be available to each and every person without any kind of discrimination, without any kind of biasness. For the fulfillment of the objectives and aims of the state, the principles serves as a guideline. See, these are as a guideline. Okay, this serves as a guideline. There is no provision in the Constitution to implement this principle. See, this is again very important. There is no provision in the Constitution to implement this principle of law. These fundamental principles do not provide any legal support. This is the most important thing. There is no legal support. Okay, so there is a main difference between the fundamental rights and this directive principle. Fundamental rights are legal, means if any of the fundamental rights you are not getting, then you can go to a court. But if directive principles of state policy is not implemented by the state, you cannot go to a court, and that is the major difference between these two. These are supported by the law or supported by the court. These are not supported by the court. They are not supported by the court, and you cannot go into a court if these are not accepted by the state. Then also framing and administration of the laws of the state, this fundamentals, right? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, remember this line, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said, what he said about it, to rule the realm, these principles are the foundation. If you want to rule in a best way, then these are the foundation. Okay, if you follow this, then the state can be the ideal state. It can be one of the best states possible. It means an attempt to establish political democracy in our constitution. Political democracy is incomplete without social and economic democracy. Okay, so what it is said, that unless and until you get, okay, freedom and democracy here means freedom, okay, right for the people. In the constitution there should be political democracy also. Okay, you should have the right to rule, you should have the right to choose, and it is incomplete without the social inequality and economic equality. There should be social and equal democracy also. The Indian Constitution has included directive principle of state policy into 4 sections. Okay, so there are 4 sections of directive principles of state policy. How many sections are there? There are 4 sections of directive principles of state policy, right? So all these sections are very important, and they are one of the best examples for an ideal rule of the amendment. See, the kind of country that we want to create, this kind of society we want to construct, that vision is reflected into this society. Okay, so this uh, principles are a type of mirror for what kind of society we want, what kind of country we want. Okay, that is reflected here. The directive principles are actually directions given by the constitution to the union and the state. See, what is it? Then this can be definition. This can be your definition. The principles are directions given by the constitution to the union and the state to adopt such policies that would help to establish an unbiased society in our constitution. So this can be your definition. This you need to remember. Okay, this you need to remember. The principal aim of this principle is to establish a social system based on social, economic and political justice. Okay, so there such kind of society should be based, such kind of system should be based where there is social, economic and political justice. These principles are about the implementation of objectives and ideals presented in the preamble. So it is told already into the preamble, right? These principles are not included in the constitution. These principles do not serve legal or legal backing. See, again, as I already told you, they do not have any legal backing. For proper administration of the state, these principles are channelized. These principles incorporate such rights as required for the overall development of the mankind. Okay, so this includes such kind of rights which are very needed for the development of the human being. These principles are divided into various sections. Let us study some of them. Principles related to economic policy. Okay, for the modification of economic policy, economic means money here, there are certain principles given below. First, equal distribution of wealth and resource among all classes of the welfare of the people. See, there should be equal distribution of wealth, okay, resources among all classes. Okay, whatever wealth, whatever resources the state have, that should be distributed equally among all the people. Okay, that is, and it is the responsibility of the state to see that each and every person in the state gets equal distribution, equal wealth and equal resources. Okay, second, assets means property and production of resources should not be distributed to certain groups or sections. This should be administered by the state. See, this is again important. This can be a, you can say, a subdivision of it. Okay, assets means property and the production of resources should not be for a certain group. It should not be only limited to a certain group, but it should be given, it should be provided to all the people living in that particular state, and it is the responsibility of the state to look after that. Third, equal pay for equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Okay, now wherever there is any work, okay, there should be equal payment for both men and women. Now in many a times you might have seen that this is not implemented, especially in areas like farming, agriculture labors and such. Usually it happens that men are paid more in comparison to female. That should not be done. Male and female both should get equal pay. Fourth, provision for good health. See, it is the right of each and every person to get good quality health facilities. For laborers to say working at places should be created. Because of financial constraint means problems or limitations, the men and women and young children working in unhygienic places or where health matters are restored should not be allowed happen. That should not allowed, and the places of work should get a good hygienic atmosphere. Fifth, state should promote cooperation in administration of industrial units by the labor. See, state should cooperate in administration and support the units where the laborers are working. Next, protection of children, youth against exploitation. So they should be protected from exploitation and against moral and material abandonment, and to live a healthy and dignified life. Usually you might have seen many times on road there are a lot of children who are either orphan or they are uh, living such bad life, so they also have a right. It is a responsibility of the state to provide them a good and healthy life. This principle should have been developed into the state. Next, relief and leave at the time of delivery should be provided to women. See, relief and leave at the time of women at the time of delivery. When a lady is pregnant, she should be given a leave from the job without the cut of the pay. Workers insurance, bonus, maternity leave, gratuity and other legal rights should be included into policy. This all are again connected to the laborers and for making their life better. To organize agriculture and animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines and to prohibit the slaughtering of the cows. Say, slaughtering of cows should be stopped. Slaughtering is killing. And other useful milk products, cattle. A draft should be drawn for the livestock. Livestock means living animals. Breed like donkey, bullock, cows from halting from slaughtering. Okay, they should not be killed. Okay, and that kind of policy should be made by the government. Equal legal rights to all. So each and every person should get equal legal rights. State should organize free legal service to the desired citizens who are financially feeble. Feeble means weak as well as incapable of getting. Okay, if a person is not able to spend money, then it is the responsibility of the government to provide him with free legal service, free legal support. The second is principle related to social policy. Weaker sections of the society, that is the scheduled class, scheduled tribes and backward classes educational and economic rights to be confirmed, which should be taken in concern with the state. Okay, it is the responsibility of the state to take care of this kind of weaker sections. They should be protected against social exploitation and injustice. It is to be seen that they are not exploited. Okay, they are not harassed anyway and there is no injustice being done to them. So that is a responsibility of the state to look after them. Uniform civil code. Uniform civil code means equal law for each and every person should be the concern for the citizens of the country, thereby despairing and administration justice to all should be done in taken in concern by the state. So state should take care this into consideration and it should give justice to each and every person who requires it. Steps should be taken for social justice in matter of marriages, divorce, adoption, juvenile. Juvenile means those who are not adults, young children. assets and property and state. Okay, steps should be taken for social justice. They should get justice in whatever way concern related to marriages, divorce, adoption, juvenile assets and property by the state. The state should make provisions for the support and education in matters like right to employment, old age, illness, and inauspicious situation, poverty, etc. Okay, it is the responsibility of the state also to see and support people who are suffering from this. Okay, employment and illness, and who are poor. The third topic is principle related to international and political policies. Panchayat Raj should be established in states. Say Panchayat Raj is Panchayat, you might be knowing. Okay, there are 5 people who are elected in a village, and they are type of a court. They can be a court who can solve some of the smaller disputes related to the village and can take better decisions related to the village, for which proper leadership, officers and financial aid should be provided to conduct the work in free. Okay, so support should be provided, and some aid, financial aid means money should or grants should be provided to see that they work in a free way. The state should separate its service from corporate mindedness and should be liberal. Say corporate mindedness means doing business. Okay, business mindedness should not be included into state machinery. So the judges can be impartial, fearless and courageous to render judgment. Okay, judges of the high court, district court and all the courts into the state should be fearless, and they should give judgment without any kind of fear, without any kind of trouble. The state should make attempt to maintain international peace, security, to establish fair relations between nations. It is the responsibility of the state to maintain international peace, security and to establish fair relation between nations and to increase respect of the international law. So this all can be the part of the political related uh, issues, right? The next issues we'll do into the next lecture.